Hey everyone, we're doing a quick teardown on a Polaris 800 Ranger primary clutch or drive clutch. This one has about a little over 500 hours on it, so it's still got a lot of life left in it, and it was just something I'm tearing it down for maintenance reasons. I kind of noticed it being a little more grabby than usual, and thought I'd do a quick teardown on it just to see how the wear of the clutch is progressing and if we need to do any maintenance to it. So I've already pulled the clutch out of the machine. To do that, you're going to need this clutch pulling rod. It's not really a puller, it's more of a pusher. You thread it into the end of the clutch like this. Threads into the clutch and it pushes the clutch off of the crankshaft. Pretty tough to do without this rod. I believe you could use a piece of ready rod if you knew the thread pitch, but I think this tool is maybe $30 from your Polaris dealer. To get this apart, it's not too tough to get the cover off, but if you want to get the spider spun out of here, you're going to need some sort of a tool to hold the base of the clutch. I built this out of just some, I think that's 1/4 inch strap and a little bit of ingenuity. You're gonna have to get creative on your own here, and I guess I could show you real quick what the bottom looks like. Loosen these up. See, I made these two triangle pieces and they fit into the bottom of the clutch. A little bit more of a trick to get it back on there straight. There we go. And back of that strap is curved down. And I just did it to where that strap fits flat against the sheave there so we don't scar it. Rounded all my corners. Snug it down. Okay. Alright. There is a compression tool to hold this lid while you're taking it off, but it's really not necessary. I'm going to set the camera down a second while I zip that off. And this will just pop up. Oh, and actually, before I forget, because I always do, mark the, let me get the camera here. These clutches are balanced the way they're put together. So mark your top of your lid, your cover, mark it on the spider, then mark the clutch sheave. That way when you're going back together, not that it matters a terrible lot, but it does matter somewhat. Okay, that comes off. Spring. Okay, now your spider sits here. There is no way to get the spider out without using another homemade tool or buying one. Basically, there's a pretty big hole there for this shaft to slip into. And then I take the, you see there's 6 bolts. And I just built it so that it would slip over each prong, the 3 prong sides of the spider. This is torqued to about 190 foot-pounds or 200, somewhere in there. So it takes a pretty good breaker bar to get it off. I'll set it down here and break it loose. Okay, as you spin this off, the spider's going to ride up higher and higher until the buttons become exposed. Don't just go give it a fling, because all your buttons will fly across the shop. And to replace them from Polaris are about $11 each, so hold on to those. Alright. to excuse my messy bench here. It's about as clean as it's been in months. Look at these buttons, they're coming apart. Get a little closer. Okay. You see how the corner, get some focus going on here. Corners are rounded off of that button. Maybe some better light. There we go. Anyway, you get the idea here. Anytime those corners become rounded, and on these I can see 3 at least, starting of a 4th. What will happen is, and let me grab a light if I've got. See the button pockets there? They get full of dirt, and they get full of dirt right in that back corner right in there. What happens is the dirt compacts up in there and it pushes the button out of the pocket. When that starts to happen, it will start to egg shape the pocket, and in time that will ruin your spider. That one's got a lot of junk in it. Look at that. So what I'm going to do is clean that out with my pocket knife, get some new buttons, and replace at least 3. But this clutch is actually getting close to that hole there. It's starting to egg out right now. So even if it means getting on eBay or whatever, finding a clutch kit, cheapo clutch kit from China or wherever it comes from, 65 bucks will get you new pins, buttons, rollers. That's one thing we haven't checked yet, is the rollers. So anyway, the spider, spin it, pull it off. This whole sheave will come off. Actually, there's a bush. There's your roller bearing. This one happens to be a one-way, only turns one direction for clutch braking. Then your bushing here goes on top. There is a good amount of dirt in the bushing. I lightly go around that with my pocket knife, scrape that dirt out. Do not gall the bushing. And until I get some parts here, we're kind of at a standstill. I will pull this out, this one-way roller bearing, and move some parts. I'll just pull it out. There is a carbon washer here, or fiber washer. And then this one-way bearing, you'll have to turn it as it comes off. Be careful, because if they've got some age to them, the roller bearings will try to fall out. I'm going to try to do this without ruining my bearing. You know you have a one-way bearing when you see 3 sets of rollers. A two-way bearing will have 1 set of rollers. And remember which way it came off. If you don't remember, you may have to set it back on there and think about which way the engine turns the clutch and which way it will need to stop so that it puts resistance on the belt. Otherwise, if you start it up and it goes to squealing, you know it's on the back way, on the wrong way. Underneath of that one-way bearing is another fiber washer. On a clutch with too much or incorrect spacing on the secondary, you can have erosion of the face of the sheave here on the inside, or you can have it on your outer sheave. This one has neither, so it means it was spaced correctly. There is some grooving starting here just from belt wear, but nothing you can do about that. Overall, I'd say this clutch is in good shape. The weights are starting to get some side to side in them. I'm probably going to remove the pins and check the weights. More often than not, the pins will wear out before the weights do. When they start to get really bad, they both wear. But this one, it's close. It's probably going to need pins. So I will grease the bearing and get some new parts together, and we'll resume this.